Hello students, welcome to Science Learning Gateway. I hope you all are fine and doing good. So today we will start class 8 science chapter number 5 and the name of the chapter is study of cells. I hope you all have gone through the previous 4 chapters and their question answers and notes as well. I have uploaded all the 4 chapters along with their exercise question answer in the playlist of class 8. You can go to my channel Science Learning Gateway and check the playlist of class 8. You will get all the videos over there. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe my channel to get all the videos related to class 8. And guys, if you are really liking my videos, my channel and the tutorial, please like, share and subscribe my channel and share it with your friends also, so that it will motivate me to create more helpful videos for you all. And my suggestion will be that one by one you should prepare all the chapters so that it will be easy for you to score good marks in during your exams. This chapter, study of cells, again you will study this chapter in class 9. So understand the chapter concept of the chapter nicely so that you will not face any problem in 9th standard. You will learn all the terms, definitions, etc. in this in class 8, so that it will be easy for you to understand in 9th. So let's start with this chapter. Okay, as the name indicates, study of cells. So in this chapter, we'll learn about the cells. What are cells? What are the functions of cells? Where are the cells present? About all the things we'll learn. And this is a chapter from biology. As you all know, in biology, we used to read about the living things, about the plants, animals and other organisms which are living in nature. We'll read about those things in biology. This chapter is also one part of your biology. So cells are present in the living organisms. You have to remember that cells are present in the living organisms. So what are cells? We should know what are cells. So first of all, I will give you a little concept about the cells. Okay, as you know, in chemistry we have matter. Okay, all the things in the chemistry section, for example, matter, table, tear, any elements, then your notebook, pencil, everything is made up of atom are the smallest unit in chemistry. We have read in chemistry that atoms are the smallest unit which by which atoms are made, or everything around us is made up of atoms. Okay, so in chemistry, atom is the smallest unit by which everything around us is made up of. Like that only, for example, if we consider a building, you all have seen buildings. Buildings are made up of, for making buildings we need bricks. Without bricks, buildings can't be made. Okay, for making any building we need the bricks. So bricks are the building blocks. Without bricks the buildings can't be made. So buildings are the smallest unit by which buildings are made. Like that only in living organisms. Suppose you consider any plant or any animal. Suppose we take an example of a plant. Okay, suppose this is our plant. For making this plants are made up of smallest unit. Various types of smallest identical units, means similar units will join together to make this plant. So these are called cells. So in biology, or in biology, the smallest unit, the smallest fundamental identical units by which living organisms are made are called cells. Like for example, in chemistry, atoms are the smallest unit. Everything around us is made up of atoms. In buildings, bricks, by the help of bricks, people used to make the big buildings. Without bricks, buildings can't be made. For example, brick will give shape to the building. Like that, atoms will also give shape to any of the substance. Like that, in biology, cells will give shape and structure to a living organism. For example, if cells are present in one of the element on one of the animal like tiger or elephant, then all the function inside that tiger or elephant will be carried out by the cells. Cells will combine together. They will combine together to form tissues. Tissues will combine together to form organs will combine together to form organ system, and organ system will combine together to give a particular organism. For example, human beings also, cells are present. Without cells, any organism cannot be formed. So various types of cells are present in an organism. They will combine together to give a new individual or new organism. For example, in this plant or this flower also, many types of cells are present. These cells will combine together to give this flower or a tree. Okay, various types of cells will combine, and all the functions which will be carried out inside this living organism will be carried out by the cells. Without cells, then an organism cannot carry out its function. So basically in a cell, now we'll look a simple diagram of a, look at the simple diagram of a cell. Suppose this is a simple diagram of the cell. The outer covering or the outermost layer of the cell is called cell membrane. Okay, this is called cell membrane, also known as plasma membrane. Next one, inside the cell we have a nucleus. Okay, inside the cell we have nucleus. This is very important structure in the cell, and the fluids which are present inside the cell. The fluids which are present inside the cell is called cytoplasm. So these are the three important things which are present inside the cell. The outer covering of the cell is called the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. In the center we have the nucleus, and the fluid which is present inside the cell is called cytoplasm. Inside the cell many other structures are present like mitochondria, then your plastids, vacuoles. Those things are known as cell organelles. Okay, those structures are known as cells organelles. But basically cell is composed of all these things: nucleus, cell membrane and cytoplasm. So this is a small concept about the cell, and you should also know who discovered the cell. One scientist is there who discovered the cell. The name of the scientist is Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke discovered the cell. You have to remember that Robert Hooke discovered a cell. Questions are asked from this section, that 1 marks question can come from this section also. Who discovered cell? Then you can write Robert Hooke discovered the cell. So we'll read about this discovery in detail in the chapter. So this was all about the cell. Now let's have a quick look on the flowchart given in your textbook. First of all, about the study of cells. This is the center part, study of cells. In this, what we have to read? We have to read about the discovery, means who discovered the cell. Just now I have told you that Robert Hooke discovered the cell. Okay. Next, Schwann and Selden, they give the cell theory. About the one theory we have in this chapter, cell theory, that was given by Selden and Schwann. Next, we'll read about the structure of the cell. Okay, in the structure of the cell, what are the things which are present inside the structure of a cell? Cell membrane. Just now I have shown you the simple structure of cell, cytoplasm and nucleus. These are the three important components of a cell. After that, organelles are also present in the cells. About those organelles we'll read, organelles can be membranous and non-membranous, means membranes can be present and membranes cannot be present. On the basis of that, we will read about the organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi complex, ribosomes, centrioles, etc. After that, we'll read about the three processes which will occur inside the cell. First one is diffusion, second is osmosis, and the third one is active transport. We'll read about these processes in detail in this chapter. Now, about the two types of cells we'll read in this chapter: plant cell and animal cell. This is a very important section. Generally questions are asked from the diagram of the plant cell and animal cell, and one more question you can get in your exam, write the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. So these are the very important part of this chapter. You should understand this chapter nicely so that it will be easy for you to read again this chapter in class 9th. So let's start with this chapter. Okay, first of all, what we have, line by line we'll read this chapter. You know that all organisms are made up of small units called cell. Just now I have told you that every organism are made up of cells. For example, in chemistry I have told you that atoms are the smallest unit by which everything is made, like matters are made, tables are made, chairs are made, elements are made, everything is made up of matter. Like for making the building, what we need? We need the bricks. Like that only, for making the living organism we need cells. Cells are the smallest unit. As the bricks to a building, so are the cells to the body of an organism. Cells are compared with the bricks. Bricks are used for making the building. Like that only, cells are used for making a living organism. You have already learned that organism may be unicellular or multicellular. Okay, in your junior classes you have read that organisms, that living organisms can be unicellular or multicellular. So I will tell you what are unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of only one cell. Okay, in unicellular organism only one cell will be present. These organisms are made up of only one cell. Example is amoeba. Example, amoeba. 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 Example of unicellular organism is amoeba. Next one is multicellular organism. Multicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of many cells. They are made up of many cells. They are made up of many cells. Example of multicellular organism is, you can write hydra also. You can write elephant also, tiger also, cat, dog, anything. All those organisms are made up of many cells. So these are your unicellular and multicellular. This question you can also get in exam. Write the differences between unicellular and multicellular organism. For unicellular organism, what you will write? Unicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of only one cell or single cell. Example, amoeba, paramecium also you can write. For multicellular organisms, organisms which are made up of many cells are called multicellular organisms. Example, hydra, cat, dog, rat, anything you can write for multicellular organisms. So this was the basic concept about the unicellular and multicellular organism. Next, what we have? Classify the one activity is given. Classify the following into unicellular and multicellular organism. Let's see what are the diagrams given in your textbook. Okay, these are the diagrams which are given in your textbook. We have to classify them as unicellular or multicellular organisms. Okay, let's see what are the diagrams. Hydra is given, amoeba is given, ant is given, diatom is given. We have to tell which one is unicellular and which one is multicellular among these. Hydra. Just now I have told you that hydra is a multicellular organism. Multicellular organism. Amoeba is a unicellular organism. Unicellular organism. Why amoeba is a unicellular organism? Because it is made up of single cell or one cell. Next one is diatom. Diatom is also unicellular organism. It is also made up of single cell or one cell. Ant is a multicellular organism. It is made up of many cells. Multicellular organism. So in these diagrams, hydra and ant is multicellular. They are made up of many cells. Amoeba and diatom are unicellular. They are made up of single cell. So this was your activity given in the textbook. Next, the number of cells in multicellular organism may be from a few hundred to billions. Means what is written over there? That as we all know that multicellular organisms have many cells in their body. So it can be possible that the small organisms can have 100 cells, other organism can have 1000 cells, and the next one can have millions or billions of cells also. For example, if we consider ant, suppose in ant 100 cells are there. Okay. Next one, if we consider rabbit, in rabbit 1000 cells are there. Next, if we take tiger, in tiger 10,000 cells are there. In elephant 1 lakh cells are there. So it varies from animal to an animal that how many cells are present in multicellular organism. It can be from 100 to billions of cells. Means in some organism it can be possible that 100 cells are present. In some organism it can be possible that millions or billions of cells are present. An average adult human body approximately has trillions of cells. This is one of the questions related to your general knowledge, that in the adult human body, means in the living organisms, in our body, how many cells are present? Trillions of cells can be present in the human body. Okay. Next, cells perform various activities. What are the activities which are performed by the cells? Such as nutrition. What is nutrition? Nutrition is a process of taking food by an organism and utilizing it in the body. Suppose we eat any food. We used to eat the food with the help of the mouth. That food goes into the mouth and that food gives us energy, help us to grow. So that process is called nutrition. Nutrition is a process of taking food and utilizing it in the body. So cells perform these activities like nutrition, respiration, and cell division. So these are the three activities or functions carried out by cell. First one is nutrition. Cell helps in nutrition. Cell carries out the function of respiration. Next one is cell division. It also helps in cell division also. So these are the three activities carried out by the cell which contribute to overall growth of an organism. Without these activities, an organism cannot grow. An organism cannot survive. Means living organism will not survive if these functions will not be taking place in their body. First one is nutrition. Next one is respiration. Without respiration, we cannot survive. And next one is cell division. Cell division help us to grow our body. Our height increases, our weight increases because of cell division. Okay, our different parts of the organs will increase because of cell division. So these are the three different functions carried out by the cell. First one is nutrition, respiration, cell division. If question will be asked, write the functions carried out by the cell or write the activities carried out by the cell, then what you will write? First one is nutrition, respiration, and third is cell division. Hence, cells are called structural and functional unit of an organism. So this is the definition of cell. Cells are the smallest unit of life and are the structural and functional unit of an organism. If question will be asked what is cell, then what you will write? Cells are the structural and functional unit of an organism. You have to remember these two words, structural and functional unit of an organism. Structural means it will give structure to an organism, to whether it is a plant or an animal, it will give structure to that organism. Function means it carries out various functions inside the body like nutrition, respiration, and cell division. If the cell will not carry out this function, an organism cannot survive, it will die. Okay, so cells are the structural and functional unit of life. It will give structure also and it will provide function also to an organism. So this is the definition of cell. Next, an organism such as horse has a number of organ system. Yes, horse has so many organ system in their body like respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, nervous system, various types of system. In our human body also so many systems are there like digestive system, nervous system, circulatory system. Okay, name an organ of the circulatory system. Yes, we can tell the name of one of the organs of the circulatory system. You can say heart. Heart is one of the organ of the circulatory system. Mention a tissue of this organ, cardiac tissue, and a cell of this tissue, cardiac cell. Okay, so one of the organ of the circulatory system is heart. Name of the tissue is cardiac tissue and the name of the cell is cardiac cell. So this is what we have read about the cell. Now next, move to the next page. Okay, see, this is a diagram given in your textbook. See, when cells will combine together. Okay, this is one of the way by which you have to understand how organisms are formed. When cells will combine together, tissues will be formed. When various tissues will combine together, organ will form. When different organs will combine together, organ system will form. When organ system will combine together, organism is formed. For example, if we have one cell like cardiac cell, okay, cardiac cell will combine together to form cardiac tissue. Cardiac tissue will combine together to form one organ called heart, which is present in which system? Circulatory system. Circulatory system, nervous system, then your circulatory system, nervous system, digestive system. When all the things will combine together, they will give rise to an organism. Okay, for example of cell is bone cell. This is bone tissue. In this, they have given the example of bones. So in bones, which cell is present? Bone cell. And the name of the tissue which is present in bone is bone tissue. This is the organ called bone. And bone is present in which system? Skeletal system. Okay, and after that wolf is formed and a new organism called wolf is formed. So cell is the basic unit of an life. Through this diagram, we can understand that cells make up an organism. Cell is the basic unit of life. Like bricks are used for making the building, like that only cells are used for making an organism. Without cell, an organism cannot be formed. So cell is the basic unit of an organism. Now we'll move our discussion towards the discovery of cells. So in the beginning of the chapter, I've told you that which scientist discovered the cell? Robert Hooke discovered the cell. In the year 1666, I think in the year 1666, he discovered cells. So Robert Hooke, the birth of Robert Hooke was in the year 1635 and he died in the year 1703. This was the lifespan of Robert Hooke. Many scientists have contributed to the development of cytology. Now, one new word is over there is cytology. So what is cytology? Cytology is a branch of biology in which we study about the cells. So what is cytology? It is a branch of biology in which we study about the cells. In short, you can remember cell biology. Okay, in cytology we used to study about the cells. Cytos, C for cell, C for cytology. You can remember like that. Cytology is the study of cells. Next, Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke was an English naturalist. He designed a microscope and examined a thin section of a piece of a dried cork under it. What he did? He designed a microscope. He made one microscope. Okay, without in through the eyes we cannot see the cells. The structure of cell cannot be seen through the eyes because they are very small in structure. Through microscope only a person can see the structure of a cell. Then what he has taken? He has taken a thin piece of dried cork. Cork means the trunk or the stem or the tree part. The trunk of a tree. You all have seen the tree. The brown color branches the trees have. If you take a small part from there, that is called the cork. The outer covering of the tree is called the cork. He has taken that section. He saw honeycomb-like structure in it. Honeycomb-like structure, which type of structure he has seen in that cork? Like this he has seen the structures. These structure he has seen inside the cork. Like honeycomb, the structure are seen inside the cork. When he has seen the dried piece of cork inside the microscope, he has seen the honeycomb like structure like this. He named these structures as cells. Okay. In Latin word, the meaning of cell is small compartment or room. So these are looking like a room, small rooms. So he named them as cells. The word cell means small room. Okay. So from these structures, like he saw these structures as rooms. So he named them as cell. Next we'll read about cell theory. These were the two scientists, M.J. Sheldon and Theodore Swan. In short, you can remember Sheldon and Swan. Okay, Sheldon and Swan gave the cell theory in the year 1839. You have to remember the year 1839. Short notes are asked from this question. A question will be a state cell theory. Then how you will write this answer? Cell theory was given by or put forth by Sheldon and Swan in the year 1839. The cell theory states. After that you will write the 2 points which are related to the cell theory. But the first line you have to write that cell theory was given by the scientist was given by Sheldon and Swan in the year 1839. Okay. Sheldon, he was a German botanist and Swan was a German zoologist. So one was botanist. Botanist means he was studying about the plants. Zoologist means he will study only about the animals. So one was botanist and other was zoologist, Sheldon and Swan. They have given the cell theory in the year 1839. Now we'll look at the points which were given by these scientists. The cell theory states, the first point, the body of living organism are formed of one or more cells. First point what they said, that every living organism's body, every living organism will be made up of one or more cell. The body of living organism is formed of one or more cells. Just now I have told you that organisms can be unicellular or multicellular, means they are made up of one cell also or many cells also. The first point what they have said, that body of all living organisms is formed of one or more cells. This is very easy point. You can write this one, that body of all the living organism is made up of one or more cell. Second one, all cells arise only from pre-existing cells throughout cell division. Okay, this point, all cell will arise. From where the new cells will come out? From the pre-existing cell. Pre-existing cell means the cells which are present earlier inside our body. Okay, the cells which are present earlier, from those cells, from the old cells, new cells will come out. By which process? By cell division. So all the new cells will come out from the pre-existing cells. Pre-existing means which are present earlier, which are present from early times, which are the old cells which are present earlier in the living organism through cell division. So all the new cells will come out from the pre-existing cells through cell division. So this is also easy. The first point what you will write, that the body of every living organism is made up of one or more cell. Second one, all the new cells will come from or arise from the pre-existing cells through which process? Through cell division. So these were the two statements given by Sheldon and Swan in cell theory. I hope you all have understood this one, cell theory. Next. Okay, these are two types of cells given in your textbook, nerve cell and red blood cell. Nerve cell, you can see this is little lengthy. Its structure is in length, it is little lengthy in structure, and the red blood cell is round in shape, like a concave shape. Okay, look at figure 5.2 and observe the cells of various shapes. Two shapes they have given in this diagram. One is little long, elongated, and next one is your round shape. In the nerve cell, you can see branches are coming out, little branched torso. A nerve cell is long and has branched fiber like structure. Okay, this nerve cell is long and it has branch type of structure also. A nerve cell carries messages from one part of the body to another. This is the function of nerve cell. What it does, it carries messages from one part of the body to another part of the body. Okay, a red blood cell is biconcave and round in shape. And what is the shape of this red blood cell? It is biconcave in shape and it is and round in shape. We can see the round shape of the red blood cells, and it is biconcave in nature. It transport. Now, what is the function of this RBC, red blood cell? It transport oxygens to different parts of the body. So this is the function of red blood cell. It will transport oxygen to different parts of the body, and nerve cell will carry messages from one part of the body to another. Thus cells have different shapes to carry out different functions. So these two cells both are present inside the living organism. Nerve cells are also present and red blood cells are also present. Their shape is different and their function is also different. Give some more examples of cells to show the relationship between their shapes and function. Next, we have white blood cells also. They are also present in our blood. Next, we have cardiac cells. Then we have read about that bone cell. Different types of cells are present and their shapes are also different and their functions are also different. Next, we have how small are the cells, means what will be the size of the cells, what is the exact size of the cell. Most of the cells are not visible to the naked eyes, means through our eyes we cannot see the cells. Only through the microscope the structure of the cells can be visible. Through eyes it's not possible to look at the structure of the cells, so they need to be magnified by a microscope. People used to need microscope to look at the structure of the cells. How to express the size of the cell? The cells are so small in size that we have to give a special unit to the cell so that it can be identified. As cells are very small, ordinary units are not convenient to express the size of the cells. Means with through any unit we cannot express the cells. So the scientists have given a special unit to a cell, and that unit is called micron. Micron is the most commonly used unit to express the size of the cell. So you have to remember, questions are asked from this also. Name the unit by which cells are expressed or measured. So you have to remember the name micron. 1 micron is equal to 1 by 1000 of a millimeter. It is equal to 1 by 1000 of a millimeter. Or you can 1 micron is also equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meter also. It is the difference in the size of an organism due to large size of the cells or the large number of the cells. Okay. This question has been asked. You all think and tell me the answer. Okay, now we'll move to the next section. The cell and its components can be... Okay, I hope you all have got the answer. Why the difference in size of an organism is? Is it because of the large size of the cell or because of the large number of the cells? It is because of the large numbers of the cells. The large number of the cells will give the size of an organism. Okay, now next one. The cell and its components can be observed clearly with the help of an electron microscope. With the help of electron microscope, the components, the parts of the cell can be easily observed. Electron microscope uses a beam of electrons to get the image of the object. As the name indicates, in electron microscopes, electrons are used. Beams of electrons will be used. Electrons are negatively charged particles. Those beam of electrons will give the image of the object. Its magnification is about 200 times as against the compound microscope, which magnifies object up to 2000 times only. The magnification of electron microscope is much more than compound microscope, almost 2000 times more than compound microscope. So electron microscope will give a complete structure of the cell. So this is a very good idea to view the structure of cell through electron microscope. These are the two diagrams of compound microscope and electron microscope. You can see in the figure. This is the compound microscope and this one is the electron microscope. First of all, the compound microscope was discovered. After that, electron microscope was discovered. So in the compound microscope, eyepiece is there, objective lens is there, and mechanical stage is there. Generally in the schools, in the biology labs, compound microscopes are used to view the structure of any small cells or the parts of any leaf, flower, etc., or any animals. This compound microscope is used. Why electron microscope so called? Because in electron microscope, electrons are used. The beams of electrons will give the image of the objects. That's why electron microscopes are named. How to find the magnification produced by a compound microscope? How we can find the magnification by a compound microscope? Look at the compound microscope in figure 5.3. You have seen that compound microscope figure. Observe the eyepiece in the compound microscope, and eyepiece lens is one through which we see. Okay, as you can see in the diagram, eyepiece is at the top. Through this eyepiece, we have to place this eyepiece near our eyes so that we can see the image of the object. In the eyepiece, we have to put our eyes. An objective lens is the one which is near the object. Next, which one is the objective lens? You can see these two lenses. These are the objective lens. They will focus on the object. We have to keep the object over there, and from there, the objective lens will form the image of the object which we can see through the eyepiece. Find the magnification written on the eyepiece lens and the objective lens. For example, in a compound microscope, magnification of eyepiece lens is 10x and that of objective lens is 40x. The total magnification is 400x. It means the object appears 400 times larger than its actual size. Okay, now look at this statement. What has written? Magnification of eyepiece is 10x and magnification of objective lens is 40x. If you will multiply 40 with 10, how much you will get? 400. So the object size which we will look through the eyepiece will be 400 times larger than the actual size of the object. Suppose the object is very small in size. Okay, when we will look through the compound microscope, the size of the object will be 400 times larger than its actual size. This has been written in this paragraph. Okay, this is the activity given in 5.3. Take a piece of layer from an onion. Remove a thin epidermal layer from this piece. Put this on a drop of water taken in a glass slide. Put a drop of iodine or any suitable staining solution on this piece. Observe the slide under a microscope with the guidance of your teacher. Under a microscope, you will see the cells usually as shown in the figure. What you have to do? You have to take a thin layer of the onion. First, onion you have to cut a small piece, and from the onion you have to take a very thin epidermal layer of the onion. That means a very thin skin of the onion you have to take, and after that in a glass slide like this, one slide is there which is available in the biology labs, made up of glass. In a watch glass you have to keep some water and you have to put that thin layer of onion in that, and in that you have to put some staining solution like iodine. If you will put some iodine solution, then the cells will appear as clear. Staining solution means any color we have to put, like iodine is of purple color. If you will put some iodine solution in that, the color of the cells will be visible to our eyes. And after taking it from that solution, we have to put it under a slide. Slide is like a rectangular shaped glass. In that you have to put the side of the onion seed, and after that you have to cover it with a cover slip. Again, cover slip is a very thin layer of glass, and again you have to put this slide under a microscope. Then what you will observe? You will observe the structure of the cells like this, like small compartments, as we have seen over there, like small rooms, like compartments. You can observe the structure of the onion cell under a microscope, and the dots will be present like this. Small dots will be present. These are the nucleus. Okay, so this is the structure of the onion cell which you can see in the laboratory. Okay, see the diagram is given in the textbook. Cells in the onion piece, like this the diagram will be. Small compartment or room like structures will be formed. In that, black spots are present. These black spots are the nucleus which are present inside the cells. Observe figure 5.6 and 5.7. Any cell when observed under a compound microscope shows three prominent parts. Whenever you will observe any cell under a microscope, three parts will be seen. They are cell membrane, cytoplasm and the nucleus. The black colored line which can be seen over there, the black colored line like this is your cell membrane. This is cell membrane. The center part is called the nucleus. The black colored spots you can see over there, that is nucleus, and the liquid which are present inside it is called the cytoplasm. So these are the three parts which will be present in the cell whenever you will see whenever you look at the cell under a microscope. The first one is cell membrane, second is cytoplasm, and the third one is nucleus. Cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. A cell is surrounded by a cell membrane. So every cell will be present inside a protective layer, and that layer is called cell membrane. Cell membrane, it separates the interior of the cell from the outside environment. So this cell membrane, what it will do? It will protect the inside part of the cell from the outside environment. This cell membrane will protect it or separate it from the outside environment. Cell membrane helps to maintain the shape of the cell. It also gives shape to the cell. It controls the movement of selective substances into or out of the cell. Okay, some of the substances are present inside the cell and some of the substances are present inside the environment. The cell will help to it will control the movement of the substances, means whether which substance should go inside the cell, which should come out of the cell, those things will controlled by the cell membrane only. Hence cell membrane is described as semi-permeable membrane. So why cell membrane is called semi-permeable membrane? The word semi-permeable, what is the meaning of the word semi-permeable? The meaning of the word semi-permeable means it will allow only few substances to go in and come out from the cell. It will not allow all the substances to go inside the cell. The cell membrane is called semi-permeable because cell membrane or plasma membrane will allow only few substances to go inside the cell. All the substances cannot go or come out of the cell. So that's why cell membrane is called semi-permeable. As you have read over there, it controls the movement of selected substances into or out of the cell. Means only few substances can go inside and come out of the cell. And that's why cell membrane is called semi-permeable. One very important question is asked from this section. Why cell membrane is called semi-permeable membrane? So what you will write for this one? Cell membrane is called semi-permeable membrane because it will allow only few substances to come in or go out of the cell, or you can write it will allow only the movement of selected substances into or out of the cell. You can write from there cell membrane is called semi-permeable membrane because it allows the movement or it controls the movement of selected substances into or out of the cell. This is the answer. Means if this is your cell, so only few substances can go inside the cells. Not all the substances, only few substances can go in and come out of the cell. All the substances cannot go. All the substances will not go in or come out of the cell. Only few of the substances can go in and come out. That's why cell membrane is called semi-permeable membrane. This is a diagram of animal cell. Let's have a look on the structure of the animal cell. First of all, the outer boundary or the outer covering of the animal cell is called cell membrane or plasma membrane. The outer covering of this animal cell is called the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. In the center we have the nucleus. Okay, now nucleus also has some parts. There are two parts of the nucleus. In the center a round structure is called nucleolus, and the thread like structure which are present inside the nucleus is called chromatin. So inside the nucleus, two structures are present. The round structure which is present in the center is called the nucleolus, and the thread-like structure which are present inside it is called chromatin. Okay. After that, centrosome is present near to the nucleus. Then this round structure are called the lysosomes. These are also present. Then we have this Golgi complex also. These are known as cell organelles. Cytoplasm, the fluid which is present inside the cell is called the cytoplasm. Okay, next what we have, endoplasmic reticulum. This is also cell organelles. Mitochondria, this is also known as powerhouse of the cell. This is also present in animal cell. Then again this round small structures are called ribosomes are present. Then nucleus I have told you, lysosomes I have told you. So these are the structures which are present inside the cell. Cell membrane, that is present in all the cell. Cytoplasm is also present in all the cell. Nucleus is also present in all the cells. Okay. Next, the cell organelles like ribosomes, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes. These are present in the animal cell. Next diagram is of plant cell. Now let's have a quick look on the diagram of plant cell. In the plant cell, the first wall or the first covering of the plant cell is called the cell wall. Cell wall was absent in animal cell, but in plant cell wall is present. The second layer is called the second wall is called the cell membrane. That was present in animal cell also, and cell wall is present in the plant cell also. Next, what we have in the center. In the center, we have a very big size of vacuole, that is called the outer covering of the vacuole is called the vacuole membrane, and this is known as the central vacuole. The size of the vacuole is so large in plant cell. Then cytoplasm is present, the fluid like structure that was present in animal cell, that is present in plant cell also. Mitochondria is also present. Golgi apparatus is present. Chloroplast is present in plant cell, but in animal cell chloroplast was absent. Chloroplast, they are responsible for photosynthesis. Without chloroplast, the plant cannot make their food. Next, ribosomes was present in animal cell also, in plant cell also it is present. Endoplasmic reticulum was present in plant cell also, in animal cell also it was present. Next, we have the nucleus. In the nucleus, nucleolus is present. Okay. So this was the structure of the plant cell. So many differences are between animal cell and plant cell. You should practice the diagram of plant cell and animal cell 1 or 2 times. If you will practice, it will be easy for you to draw. Next, one more question I have told you from this is that differences between plant cells and animal cell. This question usually this question comes. Write the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. Differences between plant cell and animal cell. So for this, what you will do to write the differences between plant cell and animal cell, what you will do, you have to make 2 columns. One is for plant cell and next one is for animal cell. First point for plant cell, you can write that cell wall is present. Cell wall present. But in animal cell, what you write? Cell wall absent. Cell wall was absent in animal cell. Second point you can write for plant cell, that what you can write second point? Second point you can write that vacuole. The vacuole is present, which is very large in plant cell, but in animal cell vacuoles are absent, or if it will be present, it is very small in size. Generally in animal cell vacuoles are absent, but in plant cell vacuoles are present. Next point you can write for plant cell is that chloroplast is present in plant cell, but in animal cell chloroplast is absent. 3 points I've told you, and one more point you can add over there is plastids. Yes, plastids are present in plant cell, but in animal cell plastids are absent. So these are the points which you can write for the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell. You can write in your notebook those points. First point, what you will write? First point you will write that in plant cell wall is present, but in animal cell cell wall is absent. Second point you will write that in plant cell vacuole is present, which is very large in size, but in animal cell vacuoles are absent. Then third point you will write that in plant cell chloroplast is present, but in animal cell chloroplast is absent. So the 3 points is enough for the differences between plant cell and animal cell. And one more point, last point you can add, that plant cells are larger in size, animal cells are small in size. This was all about the difference between plant cell and animal cells. Movement of molecules across the cell membranes occurs by 2 processes. Okay, till here only we'll do today. Rest of the topics I will cover in the next part of this chapter, means in part 2. This will be part 1 of the chapter study of cells. I will make a separate video for the rest of the topics, otherwise the video will get little longer. So I will make a next video for that, and I will upload it. I hope guys you all have understood the concept, what I have told you today or what I have explained today. Go through it once, listen to the video once again, and read your NCERT books once so that it will be easy for you to understand. If you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section so that I can clear your doubts. Please read the NCERT book once and go through the video so that you can understand it more clearly. Practice the diagram of plant cell and the animal cell. Write the differences between plant cell and animal cell, what I have told you today. And if you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section. if this video is helpful for you, then share it with your friends also. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. And if click on the bell icon, if you have, then whenever I will upload a new video, you will get the notification for that. This will be the part 1 of the chapter study of cells. Second video I will upload it soon for the rest of the topics. Till then you can read finish these topics. Okay, thank you for watching.